If you capture a wild wolf and put it in a cage, something strange happens to its descendants. Over time, their skulls shrink, their teeth get smaller, their ears flop over, and their faces soften into something entirely non-threatening. It is a biological law of domestication, but biologists recently realized something terrifying. It didn't just happen to wolves, it happened to you. Look in the mirror. You probably see the apex predator of this planet, the species that conquered the Earth, split the atom, and reached the moon. But you are looking at a lie. Physically, biologically, you are not the peak of human evolution. You are a watered-down, softened version of something much more formidable. For decades, we assumed that as human beings became smarter, our brains naturally grew larger. That is the story we tell ourselves. The march of progress. But the fossil record tells a completely different story. Around 30,000 years ago, during the late Pleistocene epoch, human brain size peaked. The average human walking around during the Ice Age had a brain roughly 10% larger than yours. Their bones were thicker, their jaws were wider, their brows were heavier. If you put a cro-magnon man in a suit and put him on a subway today, you wouldn't just notice him, you would be physically intimidated by him. So where did all that brain mass go? Why did our skulls shrink? Why did our faces flatten and our teeth become so small they barely fit in our mouths anymore? The answer changes everything we think we know about what it means to be civilized. Because we didn't just domesticate wheat and cows and dogs, we domesticated ourselves. In 1959, a Soviet geneticist named Dmitri Belyaev started an experiment in Siberia that would accidentally explain modern human biology. Belyaev wanted to know exactly how wild wolves turned into friendly dogs. So, he gathered dozens of wild silver foxes. His rule was incredibly simple. He approached their cages. If a fox bit his glove, it was excluded from the breeding pool. If a fox tolerated his presence or showed curiosity, it was allowed to reproduce. He was only selecting for one single behavioral trait: tameness. He didn't care about their fur, or their ears, or their tails. He just wanted them to stop biting him. But within just 10 generations, something bizarre happened. The foxes didn't just become friendly. Their bodies physically mutated. Their ears, which used to stand straight up like wolves, began to flop over like golden retrievers. Their snouts shortened. Their teeth shrank. Their fur started developing white patches. Their skulls became noticeably smaller. Their stress hormones plummeted. Belyaev had discovered what scientists now call domestication syndrome. When you breed a wild animal for tameness, you fundamentally alter its neural crest cells. These are the embryonic cells responsible for adrenaline and the fight-or-flight response. But they also dictate facial structure, cartilage, and jaw size. You cannot make an animal friendly without physically shrinking its face and its brain. Now, let's go back to you. In 2014, a team of researchers led by biological anthropologist Robert Cingolani published a paper examining human skulls over the last 200,000 years. What they found was a massive structural shift that began right around the time human beings started forming large, complex societies. Our heavy brow ridges vanished. Our upper faces shortened. Our jaws shrank so drastically that today, our wisdom teeth have to be surgically removed because there is literally no room left for them to grow. And our testosterone levels, reflected in the shape of our skulls, plummeted. We were displaying the exact same physical symptoms as Belyaev's silver foxes, the exact same symptoms as domesticated dogs, pigs, and sheep. But there was no Soviet geneticist standing over us, choosing who got to breed. So who was doing the selecting? We were. We did it to each other. For most of our history, humans lived in small, scattered hunter-gatherer bands. In those environments, physical aggression, reactive violence, and hyper-dominance were survival traits. The alpha males, the fiercely territorial, the ones who reacted to threats with immediate violence. They thrived. But then, the environment changed. We started agriculture. We built villages, then towns, then cities. Suddenly, you weren't living with 30 people you had known your entire life. You were living shoulder to shoulder with thousands of strangers. In a dense, permanent settlement, the rules of survival flip completely. The hyper-aggressive alpha male who snaps over a minor insult is no longer an asset. He is a threat to the stability of the group. So, the group got rid of him. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard University calls this the execution hypothesis. As humans developed language and complex social structures, the weaker cooperative majority realized they could gang up on the violent, domineering minority. If a bully was terrorizing the camp, the rest of the men would quietly agree to ambush him in his sleep. Or they would banish him into the wild, which was essentially a death sentence. Over thousands of years, the most aggressive, high-testosterone individuals were systematically killed off or exiled before they could pass on their genes. We were culling our own species. We were selecting for tameness. Just like Belyaev's foxes, the humans who survived to reproduce were the ones who could tolerate being crowded in cages with others, the ones who didn't bite. And the physical consequences of that tameness are what you see in the mirror today. Your smaller brain isn't because you are dumber. It's because your brain has been optimized for the group, not the individual. A wild wolf needs a massive brain to track prey, map territory, and survive the winter entirely on its own. A domesticated dog doesn't. A dog just needs to know how to read the emotions of its master and how to beg for food. When we domesticated ourselves, we outsourced our survival to the society around us. You don't know how to hunt. You don't know how to build a shelter from scratch. You don't know which berries will kill you. You don't need to. The collective brain of society handles that for you. Your individual brain shrank because you are a specialized part of a massive hive. You traded independence for safety. But safety always comes with a cost. Because when you domesticate an animal, you remove its natural context. You put it in an environment it wasn't built for. Think about modern human anxiety. Think about the crushing weight of a 9-to-5 job. The feeling of staring at a glowing rectangle for 8 hours a day in a perfectly climate-controlled room, feeling a profound, unexplainable sense of dread. The creeping suspicion that you are living in a zoo. You feel that way because, biologically, you are. We built the safest, most comfortable, most resource-rich environment in the history of the planet. There are no predators outside your door. There is infinite food in the refrigerator. You are protected from the cold, from the heat, from the dark. It is a perfect paradise, just like Universe 25. And yet, depression is skyrocketing. Anxiety is the baseline state of modern existence. We are medicating ourselves just to tolerate the world we built. We bred the wildness out of our skulls to survive the city. We softened our faces, shrank our brains, and killed off the alphas so we could live side by side without tearing each other apart. We successfully became the perfect pets. The only problem is, there is no one left to take care of us.